Hi guys, today is the 16th of April 2019 at 1:31 in the afternoon over here in the UK, and I have been receiving a lot of messages from you guys in reference to the Notre Dame Cathedral. But just to give you a sort of an idea of why I don't jump on these reports as soon as they come up, is one, I have a personal life. I've got two grandparents, one with vascular dementia, the other with osteoporosis in the knees, had two knee operations, and has difficulty getting around. I'm responsible for the shopping, the cleaning, and generally taking care of the household in terms of bills and stuff. The house where my grandparents live is currently under disrepair, so I also have a court case running at the same time to try and get the landlords to do something about the state of the property. On top of all of that, I wake up most mornings or afternoons sometimes, and I generally have around 400 reports to go through before I can even start putting together a video to kind of pick out all the important things that happen in the world and some of those things that may be connected to the iPad Go-To video. So that's why I don't jump on these reports as soon as I hear about them or as soon as I find them. What I generally do is I'll click them, I'll load them up on a tab, and I'll just save them until I have a point in time where I can sit and actually talk to you guys about what's going on. So the first thing I'm bringing up, as you can see on the screen, is Sunday the 20th of April. The reason for that is because it's the London Marathon. Now, I can't remember which YouTuber pointed this out to me, but it's from a YouTuber called Pedro. The YouTuber on my channel linked me to this Pedro YouTuber who's done a video on the London Marathon and a potential false flag attack. Not going to play the video just for copyright reasons and, you know, sharing issues. I haven't asked Pedro if I can share the video. I'm sure he probably wouldn't mind, but if you guys want to watch it, you can go to his channel and check out the London Marathon false flag attack. I think it's quite an interesting video, lots of pieces kind of put together, and there does seem to be some indications for a marathon attack. But when I was watching it, I was also reminded of the Boston marathon, where the bombs went off there, and how that is generally connected to the Illuminati card game, which he does show in this video as well. So I'm not exactly sure on whether, and as you can hear, there's noise in the background, excuse me. My kitchen is being renovated, as I said, part of that court case. So I'm just going to close the door, give me 1 second. Okay, that didn't help much, but it helped a little bit. So this is where we are. We're looking at potential attack at the London Marathon. As I said, there's already been a Boston Marathon attack, so that may be what was indicated in the past, but I'll keep our eyes on it. As I said, there are some indications that there may be an event at the London Marathon. The marathon route does run through central London around Greenwich, which is where the O2 Arena is. And you guys know I've talked about the O2 Arena, potential for an explosion around the area, maybe not in the O2 Arena, maybe just outside, possibly connected with Ravensbrück University. And there's obviously the London Olympics Arena as well in Stratford, London. Lots of different things looking at there. So keep an eye on April 28th, just in case something does happen at the London Marathon. And thank you, Pedro, for analysing it. Obviously, I can't do all the analysis on every single thing. April 29th is another date that I have in my mind, and it's basically from this Flash Forward TV show. They only did one season. It was very popular at the time when it came out, so it was surprising when they decided to cancel it after one season. But the gist of it is something happens to the entire planet where they all lose consciousness for around 2 minutes, and in that time they flash forward 6 months to April 29th, where they're all seeing different things in aspects of their lives. This guy's a detective, so he's currently seeing himself in the future investigating this flash forward. And one of the things he writes down, as you can see on this notepad calendar, is who else knows, and the date is April 29th. And because it's flash forward and it was to do with people losing consciousness, and at the same time, because people lost consciousness, loads of things happened, like helicopters crashed and planes went down, people drowned in the ocean, all sorts of things, which basically gives you an idea of complete catastrophe. As we do look at subliminal messaging in different medias and music and stuff like that, this is one of them, so I'm just pointing that out to you guys now. Now let's get into what's happening on the earth. Oh, actually, before I move on, in association with the London Marathon, You've got the fact that it's also going through Hyde Park, which is another thing that's mentioned in the Pedro video. And in Hyde Park, the reports that came out last year were this artist building this unfinished pyramid out of oil barrels, or barrels, I don't know if they actually contained oil at some point in their time, but a group of barrels positioned in an unfinished pyramid right in the middle of Hyde Park. And there was another YouTuber who did an analysis on this, and he broke it down as in it's like a representation of death. And the fact is, it literally is a representation of death. It's a tomb, if I can find that part of the report where it says so. I'm trying to scan read, I might have passed it already. Okay, there we are. So it's called the London Mastaba, which is obviously a very close association with masturbation, and we know how the whole sex thing is intertwined in the cults and the I can't remember the word I'm looking for now. But yeah, it's intertwined in all of them kind of people. I can't remember exactly what the word I was going to use, but anyway, you understand what I'm saying, hopefully. So the mastaba is a type of ancient Egyptian tomb. And obviously a tomb is related to death, burying people in the ground. So it may be that, as we've looked at before, an event happens in London where there's a lot of death, and obviously you've had something like this, which is a symbolic representation of death in terms of the tomb. And then you've got the London Marathon running through there this year, and all the connections there may be to something happening at that event. So it may be all interlinked, and this could have been something they put in place as some sort of symbolic. I'm losing all my words. A symbolic foretelling of what is to come, obviously for people in the know. One of the things the artist said about it, if I can find that part of the report, is, give me a second, yeah, if you were hoping, the artist, his name is Christo, obviously Jesus Christ, Egyptian tombs, is all sorts of subliminal messaging in this report and in this art fixture that they put in Hyde Park. It's now gone, but it was there. So if you're hoping Christo would tell you what it all means, then you'd be wrong. He's leaving that up to you. He said, there are no messages. There is something in it to discover yourself. I cannot direct you. You should develop your senses. Now that is cryptic language, of course. There are no messages. There is something in it to discover yourself. Now, when I read that, I'm just like, okay, maybe there was something inside of this pyramid. I'm assuming it was, there was like some space inside or something, and there was something inside there. Or maybe it was a cover for something going underneath. This is built in the middle of the Serpentine, so it's basically in the middle of a lake. So if they wanted to hide something in the park, under the lake would be a good place to go, since no one's really going under the lake for any reason, obviously apart from government entities. But it's something to watch. So that's all in association with the London Marathon and the potential things that could happen around there. Now, April the 15th, which was yesterday, was a incredibly significant day. It wasn't on my watch list this year. It was on my watch list last year. So I don't know if this really means that the IPEC Go 2 video is unfolding, but we have a couple of things that I want to go through. So first of all, it was Kim Jong-un's father's or grandfather's birthday, and they call this day the Day of the Sun, and we've talked about that for the last 2 years. So that was significant. While that was happening, the US blacklisting of Iran's Revolutionary Guard came into full effect. So it was announced on the 8th of April, and it only came into full effect yesterday. At the same time, we get news that North Korea is making headway on the ballistic missile submarine they were building. So you guys know that I brought the report to you about that last year, and I've been keeping my eyes out for any reports about it. Haven't seen anything coming up, so in my opinion, I was just assuming that North Korea were continuing to work on this submarine under the cover of, the peace negotiations and stuff like that. And it's true, they are still working on it, and I'm assuming they've almost finished. They've probably built a couple by now, considering how fast North Korea moved. North Korea is still building a submarine at a shipyard in Simpo, and the North has been building the sub-fort to be capable of launching ballistic missiles there for the last 3 years. Images from March 23rd show what appear to be a submarine hull section, as well as equipment and supplies near the yard, but they can no longer be seen on April 5th, suggesting that building of a submarine is continuing. So, nuclear development continuing, missile advancement continuing, submarine building continuing. North Korea is not looking to denuclearize, they're looking to make some time, give themselves some time in order for them to be in a position where they no longer have to fear being attacked, because they can launch an attack themselves. And obviously it's the mutually assured destruction, or the acronym MAD, that most of these countries subscribe to. Obviously, if somewhere like North Korea didn't have the potential for missiles and they weren't backed up by China and Russia, then they probably would have been attacked a long time ago. The same goes for any country. If the United States wasn't as powerful as it is, it would have been attacked a long time ago. But the other countries are catching up in terms of technology, missiles and advanced weaponry. So it's no longer a case of we have one country which is well more advanced than the others. That gap is narrowing quite significantly. So keep an eye on all of that. And we get to the news of the Notre Dame blaze. So yesterday, the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris, France, was set ablaze, and they claim it was from renovation works. Obviously something went wrong there. Flames erupted in the roof of the building, quickly engulfed the spire, which collapsed, and went on to burn a significant amount of the cathedral. Obviously they put it out, they saved pretty much the structure of the cathedral. They can rebuild it. It's not a case of the building is destroyed and gone forever, but it is a case of this being a significant symbolic marker in the timeline that we've been looking at. Cathedral destroyed there, mosque attack in Christchurch, what was that, last month, 2 months ago, various church shootings going on. And in reference to the Notre Dame, a lot of you have already pointed it out already and have been really getting at me to cover it, so I am. We have what could be the Notre Dame Cathedral here. It does have a lot of interesting markers that suggest it could be the Notre Dame Cathedral. When you look at the actual diagram or drawing of the actual cathedral itself, you have two kind of like towers on this side and a spire in the background. Now, if I was viewing the cathedral from this side, from a distance, what I'd be able to see is the front face of the building with the two towers and the spire through the middle. Now, if you look at the iPad Goat 2 reference, that appears to be what we have. We've got two spires at the front. We've even got like the little circular artistry work on the front there. The same kind of thing. Yeah, it's not exactly the same, but there's something there which is similar to what's in the iPad Goat 2 video. And obviously you've got the spire in the middle, which if you look kind of closely, it does seem to have a bit of perspective distance. So these two spires seem to be a bit more in front of this particular spire in the middle, or I'll say these two towers seem to be more in front of this spire. So it's very possible that that could be the cathedral, and we know that as you continue to play the video, the building collapses. There's no sign of fire, but maybe that would have been a bit too obvious. I think the gist of it is that the building has collapsed. So when I was looking at that and doing the foreground, background, perspective kind of thoughts on the tower and the spire, it made me think of foreground, background, perspective thoughts on the tsunami wave we see in the background, because the wave isn't actually crashing into the cathedral or the church, it's behind it, and it seems to be crashing into what we've interpreted as buildings here. Now, when I thought of that, the buildings, it's buildings being pushed over, it's a leaning tower, and obviously that connected me straight to the Leaning Tower of Pisa, which is in Italy. So it may be that we're going to see a bunch of monuments around the world destroyed. So there's been references to Big Ben, stadiums, Leaning Tower of Pisa, cathedrals and churches. So it seems like a lot of these events are going to be taking place at famous monuments. So if you have any plans to go and visit a new famous monument, just be very careful and aware that there could be potential for false flag or terrorist attack or some sort of event which they claim is natural. That's just my thoughts, so keep an eye on that. But even after all of that, we then get the reports of fears of a UK Parliament going up in blaze, just like the Notre Dame Cathedral. The Palace of Westminster could face a fire as devastating as the one that has ravaged Notre Dame, unless major improvements are made to the crumbling building in central London. Now, it was during improvements of the cathedral that the fire took place in Notre Dame. So for MPs to be suggesting that renovations should take place at the Palace of Westminster, where an equally devastating fire could take place, is a little bit suspect to me. But again, it's another possible connection to the IPEC Go-To video where I've referenced the burning house could represent the House of Representatives on Capitol Hill in the United States, or it could represent Parliament over here in the UK, as in the Palace of Westminster. So again, it's more monuments, more old building structures. It's like the destruction of the old to bring in the new, and that is obviously a New World Order reference, an Antichrist reference. Destroy the old, bring in the new. So anything really old and famous, I think, needs to be watched quite closely, especially if there's renovations taking place, like there is at Big Ben at the moment, which is why Big Ben is high on the watch list and one of the other monuments that may be in the IPEC Go-To video, just as you come outside the classroom, the clock tower that is there. Jerusalem, the Aqsa mosque also caught on fire yesterday, at the same time as the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris caught fire. So one fire for a church or cathedral, one fire for a mosque. And again, it just seems it's following that same pattern: destroy religion in order to bring forth the one world religion. Start by destroying the churches and the mosques. Obviously, we've had terrorist attacks at both of those religious locations, and it doesn't seem as if it's going to get any better. So in the future, we're just looking at more confrontation between the religions of particularly Islam and Christianity. Unfortunately, there's a lot of similarities in the religions in terms of the way we're taught to kind of treat each other and behave. Obviously, there are markedly big differences in the way that we practice our religions and who we believe we're worshipping. But putting that aside, the two events, Notre Dame Cathedral and Al-Aqsa Mosque, both being on fire on the same day, is not something that can be ignored. So I'll keep an eye on that situation as it develops. Obviously, that could be another connection to the IPEC Go-To video here, where we have a dome-like structure which could represent a mosque. Obviously, I've looked at it as many different things, an arena as well, but we do have the smoke outside, we do have the mosque, and we do have like the half moon, the crescent moon, kind of like a symbolism of Islam. And as the scene develops more, we see the collapsed roof, we see the Islam in the middle, and obviously we have what could be a connection to the Al-Aqsa Mosque in real life on fire. Then, a little bit more mundane, but Tiger Woods is back in terms of being a champion at golf after all his injuries and scandals. This, you may think, what's this got to do with anything else that you talked about? Except it's, again, another possible reference to the IPEC Go-To video. Tiger is back. Tiger back. Mosque on fire. Cathedral on fire. Iran Revolutionary Guard Corps sanctions going into a full effect. And all of that happening yesterday, April 15th. And then, more concerning moving forward, is North Korea and Russia meeting in China. This will be a major summit, the first time ever. And obviously, China, Russia, North Korea are three countries we look at in terms of global warfare. And if they're meeting, it's likely that they may be discussing moves moving forward, or even potential dates where things may happen. We obviously won't find out what's going to take place in that discussion. But the reports are saying that that is likely to take place on April the 24th. So April is a really big month. There are a lot of things going on. We were supposed to have Brexit this month. As I said, that's been delayed to October 31st. We've had the Aqsa mosque fire. We've had the Notre Dame Cathedral fire. We've got the Mueller report coming. Tiger Woods back, potentially connected to the iPad Go 2 video. So many pieces moving and possibly fitting together in this video, which kind of just goes to show you that you can't interpret iPad Go 2 video, or you can't interpret the iPad Go 2 video in one way. There's just no way to do that, because just like in this scene, for example, there could be 3 different events going on 3 different days, just conveyed one behind the other. You see, and it all just looks like one image. Or it's a tsunami for the church, or it's a tsunami for the East Coast. But I don't think any of us, at least not in any of the comments that I've read prior to the Notre Dame Cathedral, I don't think any of us interpreted the Notre Dame Cathedral. Yes, we interpreted the church, and it looks like it's being knocked over by tsunami. So my opinions is the Vatican. That's another place we've looked at, so it could possibly be there. But no, it could possibly be the Notre Dame Cathedral. But there was no tsunami involved, and we clearly see a tsunami in the background here. So that's obviously another event that's scheduled to come. And if this is in the foreground and this is in the background, the suggestion would be this comes first and then this comes. Out of all the dates that I've mentioned, excuse me, first being, well, in terms of what's coming up, April 24th for that large summit between China, North Korea and Russia, and then April 28th for the London Marathon. It comes to April 30th, which is the date that I've put down as a marker to watch, just based on the iPad Go 2 video and possible interpretations from there, particularly in association with the burning house, burning rocket, however you'd like to view it. 1 second. No, go back. I really dislike playing this video. Okay, this will be good enough. It's not clear, it's blurry, but you can see just about here. Often interpreted as a 1, which again, as I said, it could be. The house, this bottom line here, you really can't see it in this image, but this bottom line here is drawn separately. The rest of it was drawn as 1. So it looks like an A. A13, A31, A30, could be any of those. If it's A31, then it's not April, it's going to be pushed to August. But if it is A30, that is still yet to come, and we have a lot of things unfolding prior to that, and a lot of things that have already unfolded, particularly yesterday. So that is all the news reports I've got to bring to you. That is the possible connections to the iPad Go 2 video. I know a lot of you have already made the connection with Notre Dame and the iPad Go 2 video. I agree. I believe it's possible that that's exactly what it was depicting. But also I have to keep my mind open that it may not be that, and it may just be something similar has happened, but not exactly what was scheduled for the iPad Go 2 video. Either way, we'll keep watch. You guys have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and may the Heavenly Father bless you.